What are three keywords that will describe your practice?
Surface, glimpse, seduction.
Who has had an influence on your practice? Is there a favorite quote?
You can be too boring, but you can never be too seductive. Donatella Versace. I've always been into fashion, and I think it was the show Ugly Betty that really got me into it. The characters were overblown to many, but there really are these huge personalities in fashion. My favourite being Donatella. Versace has such an image and a lineage of glamour and seduction, with the Versace sheer green scarf dress pop star J-Lo wore to the Grammys in 2000, launching Google Images.
What are the obstacles you face in the production of your art practice?
I would say that the biggest obstacle, like with most people, is money. I now work 5 days a week at B&Q, designing people's kitchens and bathrooms, dreaming of the day I'll be able to afford to buy my own place and design my own dream kitchen, with lots and lots of stainless steel. Money would give me time to work on my practice and invest in materials. Having said this, I'm resourceful, having grown up in a working class household where money was a struggle for my mum when we were at home. But my mum always found a way to provide for us what we needed. I've taken this into my adult life within my practice and personal life, investing in objects or materials I really need, spending money with a sustainability and ethical mindset, not being a hoarder and reusing where I can. I often use ready-mades within my work, and I feel this has a direct relationship with my financial position and sustainable approach to making. Some things don't need to be remade. They tell us a story better in their authenticity than when remade anew.
To whom do you go for help when you hit a block or have difficulties in your creative process?
I'm quite independent when it comes to making. I let things sit in my head and then write them in a few notes on my phone. Then I draw it out to semi-set the idea. This allows me to take stock of what I want to do, then think about materials and surfaces. What am I trying to say with this work, etc. The people I most look to are my friends Abby Charlesworth and Kelsey Cruz Martin, who I went to uni with at Bath School of Art, and we share a passion for materials and process. I often send them images over Instagram to dissect and give feedback on. I also ask my partner Robbie O'Keefe, as we live together and share a studio at the Auxiliary in Middlesbrough.
In your creative process, do you look into research outside of the art world?
My research is very wide. Nothing is off limits, from pop music to the toilet roll holder in public bathrooms. My eye is always drawn to design and lyrics. I do look a lot at art on Instagram, but my favourite place to view art is in a gallery, in the flesh. Often I'm watching something and take screenshots of buildings or people because something has caught my eye, and often it's because something is shiny. I'm a bit of a magpie in that respect. Music is a huge part of my practice, and is a field I look to for helping me contextualise not just my art, but also my life. The lyrics act like a biography, sometimes, for me, allowing myself to build a narrative into the work, which works on a universal level, but also a deeply personal one. My favourite place to listen to music is in the car, where I can sing as loud as I like. There is something about driving at speed and being absorbed into music. It's life-affirming.
Can you tell me about why you picked the title Marea for this exhibition?
Translated from Italian or Spanish, Marea means the tide, the movement of a body of water. When I heard the song, Marea, We Lost Dancing by Fred Again and the Blessed Madonna, I was drawn in by the collective loss in the lyrics, also that what comes next would be marvellous. When I was reading about the song, I found out Marea is actually the name of a friend of Fred Again. He describes this Palestinian woman as a rave shaman. My mistranslation of Marea, actually, I thought it was Maria, not as a person, but meaning the tide, is a common theme for me from when mistranslating, when reading or listening. This dual translation I now have of storytelling and tide deepens the connection to the work around the subjects I'm addressing, such as loss, longing, and personal narratives of intimacy.
Could you tell me a bit more about the role of lighting in your work? Was it influenced by contemporary artists?
Lighting has always been an important part of my practice. Even when I was doing my BA, I was experimenting with tube lights as a way of casting a feeling with the use of light, a non-physical entity that surrounds us. Within this show, I focus on the importance of lighting within installation, how it can be deployed to facilitate an intimate moment and accentuate the work, how the lighting can be used to make the passive viewer an active participant. The roaming light within the installation actuates the potential movement of the sculptures, which, although static, have a wave shape and wheels to the thin light form. Well, somebody told me you had a boyfriend who looked like a girlfriend that I had in February of last year. I was definitely influenced by other contemporary artists with the use of light. Most prominently, this was with the work of Light Sentence by Mona Hartoum. In this installation, the light rotates in the centre of the installation, casting vast shadows which rotate around the space in a linear way, giving the impression of time moving within the space. With the light in my installation, this forward movement in time is not present. The pattern is non-linear and non-sequential. The logical order is challenged and disobeyed. By using this lighting effect, the affect is to create a feeling of loss and looking, which the viewer will experience while contemplating the work. I was also influenced heavily by the curation of Ryan Gander at Tokyo Opera City Art Gallery of works from their collection. The exhibition is titled All Our Stories Incomplete, Colours of the Imagination. The most fascinating thing about this show is the lighting. The works are spotlit to appear like the viewer is seeing the museum collection by torchlight. The affect of this is to create a playful, romantic and researching feeling to the exhibition, one which takes you back to your childhood, including playing with the torch, casting shadows and illuminating objects from the darkness.
This work was originally shown in Newcastle for your master's show. Why did you decide to show it again here in Swansea with us?
I was talking to my friend and artist Tash McBoy the other day, and we discussed how objects evolve over time and ideas change and move with the times. Within this, I see my works not fixed but fluid, able to adapt and change to new scenarios and ideas I was not thinking about at the time of making. For this show in Swansea, at GS Artists, I'm taking installation I showed from an MFA show at Baltic 39 and replacing some parts to better visualise my realisation of the project. At the time, I used a red laser level which intersected with visitors as they walked around the space, tracking their movements like sonar. For the show at GS Artists, I'm now using a green light level to better represent the ideas of sonar from the submarine movies I really enjoy. Most recently, I loved the film Greyhound with Tom Hanks in the lead role, telling the story of a transatlantic convoy crossing during World War II. With any submarine film, the green glow of the sonar screen is very prevalent in the drama and suspense of the film. When a blip appears, a contact has been made. The viewer in the gallery walks through the space as the contact in this exhibition.
Is your lighting plan attempting to provoke the viewer? What influenced the tone of your lighting language?
Within the installation, you are allowed to drift with the light, explore the works much more in depth, and offer the chance to fill in the blanks. The spotlight, less a light in the face by a police officer, more a beacon in the night, a searchlight, which does not linger. This work was made before and during the pandemic, so the tone of the lighting is driven by a want for connection. This is especially seen in the use of lasers, which track the viewer around the gallery. The roaming spotlight has a romance for me when thinking about clubbing, but also visually making me think of the song Outside 2005 by George Michael. And that is why the waves are named Let's Go Outside in the Moonshine. These lyrics are taken from the song, which reflects on his arrest for soliciting in a public bathroom in LA. The music video glamorizes the situation, with sexy costumes, sleek dance move, and a high-budget production. Helicopters use searchlights looking for people engaged in the act. In my own work, the spotlight acts more like a club light, traversing the space, never stopping or fixing on one person or object, but gently searching, longingly through the darkness. In Outside, the light is dangerous and is controlled by a sentience which has an agenda. The light is not controlled. My light is not controlled by sentience. It moves freely of its own accord and does not have an agenda. It is aloof of everything and everyone. It silently searches the gallery in its exhibition. You do not hide from light, you wait to be illuminated by it.
How do your sculptures connect to the pop culture references in your work? Why the waveform?
These concrete cast waves forms are derived from the form of a copperstone, which is used to top the walls of the street I used to live on in Newcastle. The form is wave-like and makes me think of rolling waves at sea and the feeling of endlessness, continuity, longing and depth that the sea possesses. The isolation of space, but also the continual movement of the tide and movement in time. I thought the line, let's go outside in the moonshine, alluded to the act of public intimacy, but also felt ambiguous, mixed with the coldness and grey of the satin surface of the concrete waves. I was also influenced by the pleasure of hearing the waves lap at the shore at night, and the way they move under the darkness. Waves have been on my mind both emotionally and in the solace I seek when I go to see the sea along the northeast coast. I made templates from these bricks outside my house to make a mould, and then I cast on them in my studio. I then stuck them together with plaster and sanded them down to be smooth. I would then go on to make a silicone mould and remake the shape many times in concrete, which I then coated in olive oil soap to give a satin shine to the surface.
What is the meaning behind ceramic sculptures? Do they refer to the popular culture or your life, or both?
I started making this work in 2019 and I exhibited it in a show, but unfortunately the work was damaged. This gave me the opportunity to rethink the materials. Before, the barnacles were made from plaster and now they are made from pewter, which shines and has greater detail. The lower portion was green plastic and I decided this was too acidic for the work. I wanted something more natural. Smaller wheels with a lower centre of gravity were also added, and these were changed to white instead of grey, then making the work hover just off the ground but remain sturdy. The song Somebody Told Me by the Killers was a huge part of my life in my early teenage years. I remember listening to it in the car with my mum and my brother, and when my brother played on the PlayStation, I'd be singing it. The lyrics really stuck with me and spoke to me. I also think a lot about the performance of the Paso Doble, where this song was used on Strictly Come Dancing. The drama of the dance matched perfectly with the thundering guitar and booming vocals. The lyrics question the gender of a person who looks like somebody they dated. Stayed in my head. I have always struggled with my gender identity, but not fitting in with the guys. I cringe when people call me sir, as I have not felt at home with this identity. The questioning in the lyrics of the gender of a person fits with the work's narratives of questioning sex and the sexualization of an object, such as a urinal divider, something only found in traditional gendered bathrooms for men.
How do your sculptures connect to the pop culture references in your work? Why the waveform?
In the texts I have been writing, they are very much linked to my own life, personal experiences, intimate moments, and my relationship with materials as well, often with a seduction central side, which is played out with the song lyrics and culturally shared moments from TV or film. This is the language of the workers, not academic journals. I always try to pare back the text as much as I can, spend weeks simplifying the works to be short and concise. I like to use lyrical lines which stick in your head because of the rhythm and the construction. Using language located within different contexts builds on the meanings within the work, mixed with misspellings and pop culture points which underpin the importance of popular culture to me and my work. Pop culture offers a glimpse at the other side of life, one that most working class people strive to be a part of. The works riff off of this and want for a better experience and look at our own culture.
And finally, my last question would be, what is the music inspiring you at the moment?
Sometimes I listen to music and want to make a work about what's going on in those lyrics, but most of the time my ideas come from my own experiences within my personal life or wider context, and then the musical aspect joins at some place after this point when I recognise a link with what's going on in my own head. This sometimes doesn't happen until the work is finished, and then I see the connection and use these lyrics to tie to the work. This helps guide the viewer in a direction to understand the work from my position. I suppose it's an emotional point of connection I strive for. In the early stages, I mainly focus on visuals, which can come from architecture, fashion, people, or materials I see and I feel possess as surfaces I'm looking for, and that hint at an emotion or state of mind. Right now I'm listening to many different artists, but a few standouts are Doja Cat, the song Stranger by Tuvalu, London Grammar, and a musician I was introduced recently by Garth Gratrix called Self-Esteem. Spliced into all of this are lots of my favourite older tunes, which always stay with me, from Madonna to Celine Dion, Lady Gaga to Cardi B, and the list goes on.
Thank you, Will. This was a fascinating journey into your practice.